Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Uh-huh. So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
All right, guys, welcome back to the Creative Cranium. We got a great guest tonight. We actually got a couple of great guests. Let's see if I can get everybody in the room here at once. We got my buddy Nathan. How you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing real well, and I'm pretty sure JD is over there.
Yes, I'm here.
How you doing,
How you
JD?
doing? I'm good, Tim.
Hey, thanks
How
for
you doing, Nathan.
everything.
Hey, how's it going, JD?
I didn't know you guys knew each other, so this is it makes it much easier transition. Easy segue.
Well, it's funny. This is the first time I think I've seen Nathan's face.
Yeah, I'm usually the thumbnail.
I asked him that question because I didn't know if we were, it's funny because we always try to make some advertising graphics for the show. And for the longest time, Nathan probably doesn't know this, but I wrote under a pseudonym, and I was a thumbnail. I never showed my identity, right? That's why sometimes people call me Holden. And anyway, to make a long story short, what happens is I'm not sure who's going to be a thumbnail and who's going to be a photo. So last night in our advertising graphic, I did it's your three characters. And that, and then tonight, I didn't know if tonight we're going to be on the air. I guess maybe JD might be in the tub, I think.
That's all right. Listen, he stood me up last Sunday too, so don't feel bad.
Oh, I did or he did?
He did.
Oh, gotcha. For Jay, you mean?
Yeah. Mr. Rosario.
Well, that's okay because I got more time to spend with you guys, and we're going to learn a little bit about the way you do business and also a little bit about your Kickstarters, which I can't wait to hear about your projects. Tonight, I thought we'd talk a little bit about who our target audience is. And I already know both of you guys, but I thought let's go around the room. We'll start with Nathan. And can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what your project is, and who you think the target audience for that project is. Lay it on me, Nathan.
So I'm Nathan Johns. I'm the creator of Godslayers. I have Godslayers episode 2 on Kickstarter right now, and you can find our stuff on Tenebris Anima Comics, which is my business page, and then on Gage the Wolf on social media. I'm pretty much Gage the Wolf everywhere. But Godslayers it's a fantasy story, so I guess my target audience is I'm a big time role player, so I hope to appeal to that genre.
Okay, hold on. I want to hear a little bit more about that, Nathan. We're all big nerds over here, and when you say you're a role player, can you be a little bit more specific? Tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and maybe what some of your hobbies are.
So I've been game mastering since 1994.
Oh, nice.
I started out playing Rifts, and then I couldn't find a game master. I think we played like a 2-month game, and then I couldn't find a game master. And someone handed me a copy of Werewolf the Apocalypse, which is a White Wolf game.
Mm-hmm.
And I started playing White Wolf stuff, and I've been running it ever since then. My group has been together probably the last 7 years. And we play every single Sunday from 12 to 8.
That's awesome. And do you all go to someone's house, or do you meet at a business, or how do you do it?
Right here at my house. In fact, that's why I have this tiny recliner I'm sitting on.
Nice.
I'm sitting on this super small recliner right now. Like, it kicks back and everything.
Nice.
But this is where I spend 8 hours every Sunday.
I am just nerdy enough to love that. And so tell us a little bit about Godslayers. And the main thing that I want to know tonight is, when you made your project, who was your target audience that you're making this for?
To be fair, when I started, me. I just always wanted to... I love telling stories. And so when I first started, it was because I met Mario A. Barraza, who's our interior artist, and he did a couple of pieces for me for my role-playing group. And my kids are growing up. I'm kind of an old guy. My oldest son has kids of his own. And I was like, I have all this time. I went from coming home and I was the king and my kids were on me. And it was now they don't look up from their phone when I walk in the room. And so I had all this time on my hands all of a sudden. And I love telling stories. And so I had been following Larry Higgins for a really long time. And I just constantly watching him hustle. And I was like, I think I can do this. And so I started writing a comic. And really, for me, this is just a way to kind of jump from sharing it with 6 people in my living room, to sharing it with anyone who wants to pick up Godslayers.
And now you are in the ranks of the Kickstarter creators. Actually, I see this is your second one.
This is my second one, yeah.
Congratulations. The project looks terrific. And when you go to market it and sell it, is there any certain demographic that you go for?
No, I just pretty much post it up wherever I can find a place to post.
Anywhere they will let you.
I do. I hang out at this place, Coffee and Comics. That's kind of my haven. Nice. I go there and I write, and so I post it up there too. And then I've tried to talk to the comic shops around here, but
that's pretty cool. Do you mind if I ask, Nathan, what area of the country are we talking about?
I live in Reno, Nevada.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So, and I'll be doing my first con at Silver Age Comic Con down here in Reno in July. So I kind of gone hog wild with grabbing art and stuff like that this year.
Well, best of luck with the con. I think the project looks terrific. Let's jump over to JD. JD, when you're making your project, and now you got multiple titles and everything else, but is there any one demographic that you are striving for? Or, hey, who are you making this for, JD? Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's funny. My story is not much different than Nathan's. It's, especially with Oswald, right? I was between gigs. I was writing some adult comics, right? I was writing something called La Blue Girl. It was paid. These were paid gigs, right? That I was getting I was getting contracted for. And what would happen is I wrote these things very quickly, right? And I would like, they had contracted me for 10 issues. I think I banged it out in like 2 months. Right. And then, but I ended up with a lot of spare time afterwards between other projects, because there were other projects that were going on that I was working on. right, for the same publisher and another publisher. And I was like, I need something to keep myself entertained or I'm going to lose my mind. Because at the time, that was my full-time job. I was only writing. I wasn't doing anything else. Right. So I was like, but I had a lot of spare time. So I came up with the Oswald Chronicles. And I mean, I've said the story before. Daphne and I were crossing. We live in New York City. And we were walking across town from the east side to west side of Manhattan. And we were crossing Park Avenue, and there's what they call a mall. It's a big meridian with grass and flowers on it. And there were some flowers on there all chewed up and eaten. And I was like, oh, look at that. I said, there must be a fairy on this thing that must be really pissed off that some troll ate her flower bed. And, you know, she looked at me, and she will contradict me every time. She told me that's a stupid idea. And she refused. I was there. I was hurt. And I was like, no, that's a really good story. And she was like, no. And I was like, okay. And then that night going home, I dropped her off at her house because at the time we didn't live together. And I was coming home, and I started writing long form on the train ride home. So yeah, it was basically for my amusement. You know, it was just like, all right, let me sit there and just start writing this.
Cool. And do you take any kind of different tactics as far as advertising to? Well, you know, I'll save this for the next round of questions because I want to ask also about Facebook ads. And I'll just jump in real quick. I'm in York, Pennsylvania. I got my current campaign. Let me do the quick switch. It's called The Cryptid. It's a sci-fi visual adventure. If you like cryptids, you'll like it. I'd say it's sort of aimed at a little bit more of a sci-fi person than my previous books. And I keep telling people that it's all ages because there aren't any really adult type situations if you follow. It's sort of in tone, it's closer to Harry Potter or Hunger Games, something like that. And to me, I say that all ages. However, the dialogue and the references will skew. The story's in 1987. So I think that for some of the people to get some, like there's references to 80s heavy metal. Any chance you guys are fans of 80s heavy metal?
No.
So my issue would be with the definition of heavy metal, because I don't really get the genres. I just kind of listen to everything.
Gotcha. I'm an 80s baby, but I'm a Sting and the Police and Flock of Seagulls and
sure, yeah. That's good stuff. Basically, the first thing is 80s music is the best. I think we can all agree on that.
Yes.
And we have a main character who could potentially call her a rebellious teenager, and she listens to heavy metal music like AC/DC, the Scorpions, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. These are all like well-known 1980s heavy metal bands.
Yes, I am a fan of 80s heavy metal.
Perfect. Well, hey, then you'll love this story. You will love this story because I want to tell you what I quickly found, and I started telling JD the beginning of this the other day. But what I quickly found was that you would do a copyright violation, right? By including any kind of lyrics or even a little bit of a snippet of words. So what we did is we came up with our own heavy metal band created just for the series and wrote the lyrics for them, which will be coming through the radio as the character is progressing through the story. And it sort of has like snippets of lyrics intercut with the dialogue of the story. And I mentioned that because it's a little bit formatted in the style of like a Grant Morrison story, not too different than the style that he used when he wrote the Doom Patrol arc. It was if you remember that one, it's one of his better ones, I think. Meaning that sometimes the panel will have her talking, but sometimes it'll be a lyric coming out of the radio that kind of fits, or maybe is even incongruous and just kind of weird. So we were kind of experimenting with that, right? Trying some different things. Now, in my case, my target audience, I guess I'll just tell you, I haven't tried to focus too much. I've just shot with a big shotgun for sci-fi, and with things like I'm in all the art groups. You guys probably see me there. I'm in all the sci-fi groups. I'm in all the cryptid groups. I'm in all the 50s groups because those types of fans tend to like these types of stories. But as far as I don't do much in the way of Facebook advertising, and I want to ask you that question next. You ready for this?
Yes.
You know, you can target. First part of the question is, have you had any success with Facebook ads? And the second part of the question is, you can filter down which demographic you want it to go to. And what I want to hear is, did you have any success, and what demographic did you use? Nathan, you can take this one first.
I post on Facebook all the time. I generally just post in comic groups and fantasy groups. I am a part of a D&D art group, and because three of the artists who work on my book are actually members of that group, I posted in there. But generally, mostly in for comic readers. I haven't posted in any other kinds of groups like that.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. JD, how about you?
Now, I didn't run any for this campaign, and probably not for the one prior before this, but I have run some. Typically, I run them. Daphne's the one setting. She usually does the setup, and I know we have a mailing list that's included in that setup. So, like, our mailing list, you can incorporate it in so that it will contact those people on Facebook who are on your mailing list.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I know she also goes for primarily like fantasy comic books, that sort of thing. And I think the age ranges, I'm pretty sure she has it set to like 14, 15 and up.
Okay.
Because I know for my book, for the Oswald Chronicles, it tends, my litmus test is usually if they can watch Lord of the Rings, the movies, then it's good. They should be fine.
That's a great way to put it. Hey, it has the, some intense visual sequences,
right?
But nothing really untoward as it might be.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm not too far off. I'm what they call a 15 plus. But how about, did you have success with the ads?
I think we had some, but it was limited. I mean, that's the problem. It's unfortunate Jaden wasn't able to join us, but I know his latest campaign, Limbo, he did a bunch of ads, and initially it looked like it wasn't helping much, but it looked like towards the end it started helping a lot. So it looked like it ramped up. Because one of the things that I've been told, I'm sorry, Nathan, you guys understand?
I was just gonna say, and see, I'm only on my second book, so this marketing stuff is all kind of new to me. I'm just trying to figure it out and learn it as I'm going.
Same here, brother. Same here. If in case you wonder why I'm asking these questions, it's because I want to know. It's not because I do everything right.
Because my understanding is, okay, so let's say if you're running a 30-day campaign, you have to give the algorithm time to cook. Right. So you have to let it build up momentum throughout the campaign. So you got to run it for 30 days or 25 days or whatever, and just let it cook up. And then the more it goes, the smarter it gets, and the better it's going to be at attaching itself to those people that are going to be interested in, whatever subject matters you chose.
Gotcha.
That's my understanding, but my understanding is very, very limited.
Well, and I've done it exactly 4 times, or it might have been 5, but it was, I did the lower level ads. By lower level, I mean, I never spent more than $50 on an ad. Right. And I did it's what it was as a, like a sliding gallery of 3 cover images, right? Like a slideshow. And it was, I ran all through the US. And I actually do a little in Europe and Asia too, because I sometimes pick up customers from there. And who I advertised it to, it was, I think 16 to 49. It was a pretty big group, but I did male and female both. And for all my tags, I often put, musical tags or, something like that, because generally speaking, people that like these kind of bands tend to like, comics, and you and I talked about that before. Somehow music and comics kind of shake hands.
So did those ads worked out have they worked in your favor?
The first time I got about 4 sales. The second time I got, I think, 2 sales, and on this last one I don't think I got any, because they can show you in the analytics where you got your customers, right? But now I tell you what I didn't do the last time. I didn't let it cook up. Like, I ran it sort of toward the end of the campaign, and I don't think it was successful. And I guess the real question would be, matter of fact, let's ask this one next. We'll go around the room. I'm a believer in Google ads and what they call remarketing and search engine optimization. It's because I used to work for a company that did that, and the return on that for almost all businesses, honestly, it's one of the best returns, right? So should we be thinking about converting some of our budget to the way we reach our audience, first, one of the things we're doing tonight is determining who that target audience is, right?
Right.
Because we're not always 100% sure. But then when we find out, do we use the Google advertising to sharpen it till it's going right into these people's inboxes and into their Google searches? Nathan, what's your thoughts on using Google ads?
I have no idea. I have not even looked into that. I just post on Facebook and Twitter right now. I started using Instagram a tiny bit at the beginning of my campaign, but I haven't really gone back to it. It's pretty much everything I'm doing is on Facebook and on Twitter.
Okay. That's a good one too. And like I say, I haven't done this yet either. This is like, these are all things where we're trying to figure out the answers, right? So,
So on my
do you use the
first,
Google ad? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nathan.
I was going to say on my first campaign, I think twice I paid to boost my ads on Facebook. That my wife did that from my business page, Tenebris Anima, but I didn't really see a huge like influx into the page from that.
Right,
so
right.
Yeah. I've never used Google for advertising like that. I mean, it sounds interesting. So I mean, how do you even get involved in that? You know, I have to throw that back at you.
I did it for and I don't think any of this is sensitive information or anything, but I'll use the company that I worked for, which I helped them do it. And like I say, I work in some of these kind of tech fields, but I'm not really the tech person. Somehow I just get involved with talking to the people, right? And it was a Google advertising rep. And what we did is we ran a monthly budget, and it was something like $500 a month. And this is for the auction house that I used to work for. And the types of thing that it does is, it populates your feed with like one of their things was Star Wars action figures, just for an example. And you could be looking at something else, and like the spiders will remember what you're looking at. Be like a little image of it would come up, and you'd be like, "Hey, you still thinking about that Star Wars action figure?" Stuff like that, right? Now, of course, that's the remarketing end of it. And then the second end is, and by the way, tech people, if I got this wrong, chime in the comments, because I'm not 100% sure how stuff works. And basically what it does is you buy the keywords, certain keywords, like in my case, I might buy cryptid and UFO and heavy metal, right?
Right.
And based on how many customers there are, you can determine what the pricing is. And I got to say hi to the chat. I'm sorry I didn't before. I always say hi to the chat. And Jay Lee grew up in the 80s, metal big time. See, the metal people are out there. If you like heavy metal, you like Call of the Cryptid, you won't be like, what the heck's going on? You'd be like, yeah, metal.
Nice.
So now when I did this Google ad thing, for them, it was reasonably successful. And what I mean by reasonably successful, one of the things is if you have somebody Googling you, you want to perform above the fold, right? Like you want to be visible on the screen, the first thing, preferably in the top 3. Usually to get in the top 3, sometimes even for your own name, you're going to have to pay a little bit, right?
Right.
Nathan, do you use a website?
Nope. Gotcha. So my level of technological understanding, when I created Godslayers episode 1, I had an iPhone 7S and everything was done on that. So after my Kickstarter funded, my first investment was my computer so that I could actually like open Photoshop documents and stuff like that. So like I've been able to like get better art and do a couple more things I couldn't do before. So I have an ad on there right now that is a picture of one of the characters from my comic book on Facebook that says, "What do you mean you haven't bought or haven't backed Godslayers yet?"
I saw that.
Yeah. And so that's all new stuff to me. And I'm using like a really simple program, Canva, which is free. Yeah, I'm using that because like I haven't learned Photoshop yet. Like over this year, that's one of my goals is to start hitting YouTube and doing tutorials and actually learning how to use the program I pay for right now just to open and export documents.
Right.
Yeah, I appreciate you admitting that. I'm not really a tech guy either. Like I can monkey with stuff and kind of get things to happen. And I'm a Mac user, which is kind of a rare animal. But anyway, I don't have I'm the writer. These other things happened accidentally,
Yeah, and until last year when I was working on Godslayers, like I was in composition books. My house has stacks and stacks of composition books with 24 years worth of writing in it. And my wife just finally got sick of me buying composition books and was like, let me introduce you to something. You can use it right here on your phone, and showed me Google Docs. And so I've got a full Google Docs, and now I've got a second one that I'm using to keep doing comics and stuff like that. But it's just full of my writing.
Yeah.
What you need to start doing is printing it all out. And that'll drive her just as crazy.
No. So happy wife, happy life, man. Like, I know that goes both ways, that she should be making me happy too, but like my wife's a BA, like, so I don't mess with her.
Smart man.
Yep.
So JD, how about you? So I know you have a website.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you market your website?
I don't.
You're just waiting. And look, this isn't, I'm not making fun of anybody, but look, I'm in this boat with you. You know, like, how do we get to where? Yeah, tell me about what you're doing first.
Well, I mean, because we have it, right? We have the website, and it's a webcomic. It's a daily webcomic. It comes up, and it goes through like a section of the story every day. You know, goes through. I have some people that pass through. I have regulars. They come in and they check it out. And that's initially how I started getting back into the Oswald Chronicles, and then eventually I ended up moving over to like Kickstarter, where you actually make money to continue doing that thing.
Right.
But in the end, I'll be honest with you, I probably don't promote it as much as I should, because the emphasis went from the website to doing Kickstarters. Now, what's funny is we're going to start probably putting a little bit more emphasis on the website, because we have our store, right? So one of the things, like, I'm starting to do more trades, and the trades are evergreen. You can just keep selling those. It doesn't matter, right? Individual, because the individual issues that I sell on my campaigns, they're limited edition. They're usually 250 copies, limited edition. And once you run out, you're done. That's it. I'm not printing them again in that format. They have to be some other format. So it might be as a trade, might be in color, might be something else. But it'll go beyond that. So we're going to put we're putting a little bit more emphasis on the store on the website. And I also tell people, I said, listen, if you ever have any questions of my story, as to whether how well I write, or if it's something you're going to enjoy, go to my website. Just about everything is there. There's a whole.
Your website's pretty good. You have a pretty good website, and what I was gently headed toward is I want to make sure that one of my areas where I have to improve is that, like, I do pretty well on the Kickstarters. I never had one not fund anyway, and I feel like I could, I'm hoping to get to 200 on this one. But anyway, we'll see what happens. But why aren't I hitting those numbers on the website? And I guess my answer would be, actually, I'm going to ask this question. Let's go around and ask this one. Ready? So on the above the fold is what they call for the test of how you place as a business, really, is what this is really the test of. Okay.
Gotcha.
Now, I get it that there's lots of reasons to make creative projects, and money's not always the best reason to be making something. I get it that money's a real thing. We all need it. But some of us are doing this not because of money necessarily. So my question is this. If you go to Google and this is from a fresh search, not something so you get all the same things you've been looking at, but and you Google your name, or even the name of the comic, I guess, how well would you do, be honest, on being above the fold?
Well, go ahead, Nathan, go for it.
Yeah, Nathan, you're the first one.
I'm pretty sure there's a whole nother Godslayers title that for sure pops up instead of mine.
Okay, you got to fight that guy. You got to buy the keywords then. You can fight him.
I'm pretty sure for the Oswald Chronicles, you're just going to find my book.
Yeah, you're got a pretty good one, yeah.
Yeah, and also the website, and there's one thing that I was told, we've had it for 20 years. We've had it for a long time. Right. So they say that counts a lot as to for how far up, it'll push you.
Right. And it's harder for new ones to move in against you.
Right. And like I said, I mean, and the name of it, the Oswald Chronicles, if there's somebody else out there using that name, I just have to find them and choke them.
Sure.
Because it's just like, come on.
I had I was debating if I was going to mention this, but it turned out okay, so I'll mention it. I had an AI comic creator guy
Uh-huh.
scrub my images and saying that he was going to make this book. Did I tell you that story, JD?
No, that's wild.
This is, and you know, and I won't hijack this to where we're talking about AI, but you guys want to hear this because now I got a horse in this race.
Mhm.
So in one of the groups, a guy, one of the authors reaches out to me, Ben Krieger. You probably know Ben Krieger, right? Frontier
Actually,
Forever.
I don't. I
Yeah,
don't.
he's a nice guy. And he says, hey, Tim Fling, did you know about this? And the cover, and this guy's like, hey, here's this new book I'm working on. It's called Water Wars. And it's a picture, female hero, looks like my book. Even the logo looks similar.
Wow.
And it was on a Reddit thread. So, you know, I jumped like, hey, I'm going to jump all over this and talk to the guy. And because he was saying like, oh, a book coming in September or something, like it was a book that was coming out. And at first, you know, I start out very nice. Hey, we're all professionals, right? I said, hey, man, maybe you weren't aware. Actually, I already have this title. It's, you know, published in 3 languages. It ships to 19 countries. There's like 5 issues of it out. You might want to consider changing the name of it. And doesn't the guy say to me, he says, oh, I'm not really a writer or creator. I'm like an AI maker. It's not even a story yet. I just put the keywords in and it scrubs the database for images. And anyway, Water Wars comic, I do well above the fold. Like it was basically scrubbing my books. Isn't that messed up? Wow. Even the logo looked like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was messed up. And by the way, all's well that ends well. The guy was totally cool. He's like, oh yeah, man, no problem. You know, like it's not.
So it's like you were talking about music earlier and how like even putting in like just a little piece of snippets of lyrics that you can recognize that is that song. They can hit you with
copyright strike.
Yeah, copyright.
Correct.
I don't understand why we can't do that with art too.
Oh yeah, and I guess there is a way that they're working on these kind of things, you know, to where there's going to be like tags in the art and it'll be more difficult to scrub them.
And I've seen a lot of guys who are like, no, like this is the AI piece and this is mine, and it's practically the same piece of art.
Right.
And they're like, it's not even trying to make it something else.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think legally it has to be something like 40% different.
I think parody laws are 30%, but
right.
I don't know about.
Yeah. I don't know exactly either, but you know, but
I'm a huge supporter of artists. I buy way more art than I should. So that really bugs me, the idea that they'd be stealing from artists. To me, it just seems like theft. I don't like
especially that. When, not to put too fine a point on it, the artist is generally the most talented one and often the one that doesn't have the most income.
Right.
And that's who they're stealing from.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Niobe Comics?
What's up, Larry?
Good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we were talking about, is how we perform on a Google test, right? And there's more to it. And, you know, you could almost do a whole episode just on that, but it is something you just email into them. Hey, I want to start an account. They take your credit card number and they bill you, and you'll be able to see results almost right away. And in my limited experience, the Google ads performed better than the Facebook ads.
I believe that. I believe that, because I think I would imagine if you had it paired up with like an Amazon account, you may be selling through Amazon. That probably might be the best pairing.
Right. Well, and as you've probably noticed from dealing with different businesses, some are very good at what I call the, if you like this, you might like this. Like some are like, wow, great pick. I would like that. And then some are like, what made you think these two things went together? It's like a very poor matching, right?
That happens to me all the time on almost everything.
Yeah. And there's tons of examples of that. So I guess the question for us would be, right, like in our case, because we're all bookmakers here, and we're all trying to chase that ever elusive retail customer. And how do we find that person who is, if you like this, you might like that. Like the customer of Godslayers, Nathan, if you like what person would like Godslayers? If you like this, you might like Godslayers.
If you're a fan of fantasy stuff, D&D, animation, like Mario's art looks like animation.
Cool.
So I originally wrote it to be a script for a Netflix anime. So I would think that's my target audience. Like the first 2 issues are the first script of Godslayers, the anime I wrote for Netflix.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Great coloring.
Mario does the roughs, inks and the coloring on these things. So that's all him.
Very bold. Niobe,
Mhm.
if you're a fan of pigtails, you'll like Niobe. Those guys got some great art over there too. Great art.
So those guys are my mentors. Like, they're the ones who got me into this and have taught me, what I'm doing. And the scripts are mine. I don't always listen the best, but I do my best to take their wisdom in and put it to good use. But those guys, they got me on my way.
Yeah. I know a couple of those guys. I only know Larry a little, but I know Max. Isn't he one
Max?
of that group?
Yeah, Max.
Atrocity
And
Press.
and there's another guy, Johnny, who I just met. And so actually we're doing an atrocity night. We're gonna do an atrocity show. It's gonna be atrocious, man. It's gonna be atrocious.
Johnny's Atrocity too, yeah.
Yeah. They're a fun group. So JD, how about you? If a person likes, and like we say, there's all types of customers. So we're not trying to pigeonhole anybody's customer, but if we were trying to throw that dart, right? And it's if you like this, you might like that. If you could pick 3 or 4 things for the Oswald Chronicles, if you like this, you'd like Oswald Chronicles. What's in your basket?
I would say Secret of Nim, Mouse Guard.
Sure.
I
Watership Down.
Changeling the Dreaming too. Like, I see that big time in this story. Like, that was one of the things that drew me to it when I got it.
Changeling the Dreaming? What is that? I don't even know what that is.
That's a White Wolf game about the Fae. You just have a mouse character in it. So I mean, that was one of the. I love that kind of stuff. Mythology is my meat and drink. So,
gotcha.
That's beautiful. Beautiful pages, man. You guys are doing a great job over there.
Thank you. It's all Jade Gonzalez. She's been putting up with me for 11 years now. So I've been gifted, heavily by her. So yeah, no, she does a great job. But I don't know. I mean, as far as and then it probably fantasy work like Fables and Sandman and those types of.
Oh yeah, sure.
Lock and Key maybe. That's the type of stuff that I think people who like those types of books would probably enjoy this.
Yeah,
but
okay. It's a good match. I'll just do a quick shout out. So in my case, it's pretty similar. My short one, I always say, if you like aliens, cryptids, and heavy metal, this is your book. That's it right there. But there's a little bit more to it than that. And here's what I mean by this. This book's different for me. And you notice I'm trying to emphasize that a little bit. It's a little bit avant-garde. It's a little bit surreal. And it has sort of like a dreamlike quality. It's very booky, and I'm trying to emphasize that if you like sort of the weirder elements in comics that are not necessarily, like unconnected timelines and, strange creatures and everybody talks a little funny, you got to process what they're saying. You'd probably like Call of the Cryptid. That's a look at our cover A there. That's by Erwin Arosa. The cover has got the Mothman, Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot. See, she's got the transistor radio. The transistor radio features very prominently in the story. So there's going to be some musical elements. So is it
Bigfoot or the Sasquatch?
In this one, he's Bigfoot, and he actually has you love nerdy stuff, right? So I'm going to jump right in. He's the Cognate Simiae. He's an interdimensional being. It's Latin for the thinking ape. Again, all the stories end with a twist. This one, the twist is that Bigfoot is the hyper-intelligent being from another dimension, and he wears these goggles and stuff when he travels between the dimensions, and he has this kind of very erudite vocabulary. Like, we're trying to everything turns on its head on the last page of each book. And so that's the one in this one. And of course, it starts sort of scary, right? But not to give away the spoilers or anything. But of course, it turns out that the cryptids are actually on our side in the story. Nice. So that's what's going on with that. Yeah. And the idea is, we did that with our other books, which is to always have, I kind of want to be known for that, right? The stories are twist endings. And it's something that, we talked about. Some of the greatest stories are the ones, and not always like a twist, like, oh my God, it was his father. It's not stuff like that all the time.
So are you a big EC fan?
I'm a huge EC fan. Huge.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And by the way, when you talk about some of the Water Wars books have a couple of body horror stories in them. They're 8-pagers. And man, again, we talked about how you frame the stories. They're framed like an page EC story. In this case, what I mean is like on the last panel, it'll blow up to a big splash when it's the robot pulling the guy's head off, stuff like that, you know. So it's yeah, I'm into EC, man. Thanks for bringing that up. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so let's jump back over to Godslayers. So tell us a little bit, how long did it take to produce this book, Nathan?
So this one took a year. I'm actually doing this a year after my last Kickstarter. And I just wound up really busy at work, and then I was trying to start a second title, and that didn't really pan out. And it cost me some time on Godslayers episode 2, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, this looks cool, man.
Yeah.
Can you see
Mario does incredible work. Like, it's crazy good.
Yeah.
That's his wraparound cover that he
good.
did for the book.
Let's go through a couple of these rewards, Nathan.
And then this is Elsie Fritas's. So these are the tiers.
Yeah.
And this is the Godslayer Awakened Elsie Fritas cover.
Nice.
And this is actually colored by Mario A. Barraza, our interior artist also. And then Elsie Fritas did our Bella pinup cover.
Cool.
And that one's colored by Anna Rajo, who has a cover later.
Hey, I tell you what, I'm going to ask you a question about this because actually I asked JD this question the other night. Let's talk real quick about the price points of the covers. What you think is what's your entry level lowest price book?
The PDF? Or
No. I'm sorry.
Book?
The physical printed book.
$15.
$15.
All of them are $15 except the foil cover I offer, which is $30.
Okay, gotcha.
Otherwise, they're all the exact same price.
Okay,
I think
so
I have some Godslayers episode 1 covers that are a little more expensive.
Right.
Because they're limited. I only have a limited amount of them, like my Greg Bo Watson cover and my Courtney Rose cover. But once those are done, I'm not reprinting them. I'll only be reprinting Godslayers episode 1 as the Mario A. Barraza main cover. So those are limited. What I have is what I have. And I think I have 11 of Courtney Rose's and I think 24 of Greg Bo Watson's. And then I'm out of those. Mario has a cover also, his 80s action cover, which I have set up like an 80s action movie poster.
Nice.
And I only have 3 of that left, so I put it in the Barraza tier where you get his two covers from the first book, and then his wraparound cover for this one.
That's nice. It sounds like a good value, man.
And
do you have a thing where you can buy all? How many covers is it?
It is 5 covers, unless you get the Silver Conquerors tier, which is all 5 covers and then the foil.
And what is? Can I ask you how much was the 5 cover set?
I think it's 85. Okay. I think the 5 cover set and then the foil cover also is 115. Pretty sure it's 85.
Well, I just want to make sure I'm also mentioning, man, I'm just looking at these beautiful pages on this Oswald Chronicles book. You guys can see those okay, right, in the feed?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these are great, buddy. And so I want to ask you, how long did it take the production of this book?
Well, it was the whole story, about 120 pages.
Wow, these are beautiful.
Thank you. But 120 pages usually takes about a year to finish the whole thing.
For how many pages?
120. Year and a couple months, something like that. Usually about 14 months. Because our agreement is she delivers 2 pages a week to me. That's our agreement.
Okay.
So, because I know some guys or some people or some creators, they like to they'll like, here, take this and draw as many as you can in however much time or whatever. Give me 30 days, give me 35 people. Look at this guy. I thought I escaped him. Jesus. Did you just wake up?
No, I was on with Laurie Calcaterra and Paul Gomez, and we ran late. We ran really late.
It's funny. There's a couple of shows. You probably notice now that Thursday night has become the de facto creator night because you have Laurie and Paul usually going to be right in that window kind of before me. I was supposed to go, but I got tied up, or at least I wanted to. And then, of course, Travis Gibb Creator Hangout is probably going to be right after.
Well, you know, dude, I'm noticing, and I said this to Calderon the other day, live streams have become a hell of a lot more effective than even taking out ads.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
But hey, man, I can't wait to have you in the discussion. This is exactly what we were talking about with some of the best practices. Hey, and do you guys care? Let me jump back and ask Jay this question. Have you ever used Google advertising?
Yes.
Okay. And do you use it to power your Kickstarter campaign?
Well, the Google Analytics or the advertising to drive traffic to my...
Yeah, the analytics you can use, but I mean, did you ever pay the extra monthly fee and it increases your SEO?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Excuse me, not since Kickstarter started. Way back when, I would use Google AdWords or AdWorks.
Yeah, there's two now. It's
Right.
AdWords and AdSense. And essentially, the main difference is one is keywords, and then the other one is the remarketing, which I was telling them that's like, hey, are you still thinking about buying Limbo? It like it'll keep reminding you,
Gotcha.
you know, which it's really smart to do that.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, I haven't used that. And well, Kickstarter's now what, 11 years old, 12 years old?
I'm kind of the new guy, man. I guess me and Nathan were the new guys, right? I wasn't around back then. I actually had made a comic or two, but I didn't know. I had never used. You know, I
Before
never
last
used it
year,
to
I only
make
bought
something.
stuff off Kickstarter, so.
No kidding.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm at 30 campaigns. Jay, what are you at?
God damn. I'm on 19.
Gotcha.
But you're dropping one like every other day, dude.
Got a lot of content, man. I got a lot of content.
I know. You know, I just got shut down the first time Kickstarter disapproved my campaign.
But you had one live?
No, I was trying to get my my pre-launch page ready for Saturday night because my campaign ends, and I'm going to be doing a live wrap up of the ending of the campaign. So I wanted to have the launch page ready so I can start promoting the launch page, the pre-launch page, excuse me, and carry that momentum over. And they said no dice.
Did they give you a reason why?
Yeah, they said that that I'm still running one right now. But I remember Kickstarter saying they are going to be allowing people to do 4 or more campaigns at a time.
I remember hearing that, but there's still people getting turned down for. I've heard of both situations.
Yeah, and I got a hell of a track record with fulfillment, right? So
I mean that letter I wrote must have really worked.
Well, Nathan, let's answer this question here for Aaron. I see the Godslayer's Kickstarters for issue 2. Is there a place where I can read issue or episode 1?
So I don't have it posted up any place for anyone to read, but the PDF for Godslayer's episode 1 is $3 on the Kickstarter. And
what
if
a
you
value!
And if you want to, so it's really easy to catch up. And then I'm also selling physical copies on there in the add-ons and in my bundles like the Bella tier and Mario A. Barraza tier. So it is available with episode 2 on the Kickstarter.
Very
Gotcha.
nice.
Gotcha. Okay, that's cool. Well, and when you make your Kickstarters, how long? I'll go with Nathan first. How long do you work on getting your Kickstarter ready? Mostly what I'm asking is, do you do a pre-launch, a month, 2 weeks, a week? How do you do it?
So this time I had intended to do months pre-launch and launch it at the beginning of May. But again, I told you my wife was a BA, and she called me out. She's like, "You're going to Comic-Con in July. Like, if you launch it in May, it's going to end at the beginning of June. You're going to be trying to get books by the beginning of July." And I was like, "Oh, you're so much smarter than me." I'm going to launch at the beginning of April instead. So I only had a couple of weeks to get ready after I got everything put together and set it up for pre-launch. So all my marketing's been done during the campaign again.
Gotcha. JD, I know you build up early. How early do you go?
Which one are you referring to?
See, now that we're both here, I have deferred to the older person to carry the D, even though the D is
I always say
real.
I've adapted this new habit, and my habit is when JD is here, I say J. Hopefully that was clear. Yeah.
Gotcha. All
and
right,
also, cool. I like to say J anyway, because when I make the graphic, it fits more easily.
So all right, here's the way I work. So this campaign, I got another 3 days on it. This one will wrap up. I will probably be starting the next campaign in the next couple of days, building it. And then I will get funding within 2 weeks, right? During that 2-week period, my books will be at the printers. Then there'll be a week that I'll get that stuff. The money will come in. We'll send out the PDFs. Then we will pack. I will pack and ship all that stuff out. Then I probably give it another week, and then I'm back on the road again. Then it's another campaign.
A well-oiled machine.
Oh yeah, you got it going.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a thing of like I said, I have a lot of content, right? And that's where I probably have enough content to run 14 campaigns straight.
Dang.
And by the time I get to the last campaign, like if I was just running straight, by the time I get to that last campaign, I'll have enough material to probably run another 10 or 12 campaigns because I constantly have material coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to me. It's definitely a pile of content.
Yeah,
and, by the way, this is good quality content too. Like it does not appear in any way rushed. I love the pages.
Yeah, if you keep scrolling. Because I have another, because there's this project I have. This is the main trade paperback. If you keep scrolling, this is another story done by another artist. This is Aurelio Tillis, and this is just another Oswald story. And this is the second issue of If I Was a Few Inches Taller, and it's where we see Oswald trying to help out his buddy, who's an ogre, who's in a war. No, he's a troll who's fighting off an ogre, and this ogre and troll they have a family rivalry, and the ogre slaughtered his tribe, and he ended up murdering most of his tribe, and they're the last two men. They're the last two standing, so they tried to finish it, and Oswald's stuck in the middle.
Yeah, and that's am I right? Do I see a 17 panel page? Your artist is going to shoot you.
Yeah. Even I was like, whoa, was this necessary? I was just like, but yeah. My artist.
I got called out for that in my very first episode. So Mario and I decided to do a comic book together, and he's like, I want you to draw them, like lay out the panels and kind of draw them. So I got this crazy stick figure art for my first issue, and my first page, I sent it to him, and he's laying it out, and he's like, is every page gonna have 11 panels on it? And I was like, no, man, I promise. Like, no, that's just, there was a lot of action I was trying to get through on that page.
So let's jump back to Jay. I didn't ask you this question before, and I do kind of really want to know, which we started at the beginning, we were talking about our target audience. And in your case, when you made Limbo and you're still creating it, did you go in saying, hey, this is for, and you made it for a group? You know what I mean? Or did you just make it? And there's one other part of it, which is, how Amazon does that. If you like this, you'd like this. Yeah. What would they like? And they would like your book.
This is a great question because I didn't make this, right? I'm publishing this. I had a team of artists, creators who came out of Colombia who are looking to get a foothold here in the U.S. And we're collaborating on getting this out here through my imprint, through the Ensemble Comics imprint. But in my selection process, I was looking at what is not part of the catalog, right? What are we lacking on? And this is definitely a mature reader book, which we only have one mature reader book. So it's nice to add that.
Quick question. When you say mature reader, that's 15 plus or 17 plus?
We're going 17 plus.
Okay, gotcha. And do you mind if I ask what the content is?
So there's definitely a lot of fun language. There's some sacrifice going on.
Oh, human sacrifice?
A post sacrifice, yes.
Okay, gotcha. And when you language F-bombs?
Oh yeah, FS. But that's pretty much it. Yeah. Okay, MF. F.
Just a question. There's no wrong answers. Just a question.
Yeah. No. It's in there. No. I don't want to say porno. But there is one of our covers, and you'll see on the main featured image in the background, we have a little bit of Hellraiser Cenobite,
a little cheesecakey.
Yeah, a little cheesecakey, but a little bit of the what is it, the Marquis de Dassad torture.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Because that's not
porn.
That's not just boobala coming out back there, right? But that's the only reference in there of it. And then there is, so definitely foul language. Some people die, some people get beheaded. All fictional characters, nobody real. So going into that selection process, okay, we don't have that stuff, right? And then the other thing is we don't have anything in the dark fantasy category. We've got supernatural, we've got superhero, we've got zombie within our catalog. So this fits a nice little hole that we had within our publishing.
Gotcha. And would you, in your lineup of titles, then maybe I could ask it this way. Let me think how I want to ask this question and get a good one. Do you have something for each buyer in the Unstoppable lineup?
Yes. So I don't want to say, we have general audience kids books.
Right. Well, hold on a second. Let's tackle that, because man, there's a big difference between all ages books and kids books. And here's what I mean by that. Like, it's, like Oswald Chronicles is probably a good example, right? It's all ages, but not really a kid's book necessarily.
Right.
Maybe he would disagree with me, but
I would call it more YA.
YA, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how to term it as or put it on the category as of 1980s superhero books, right? What would you do that? Would that be YA? Would that be
I would, if you use a movie term, I would probably rate them as PG.
That's what I do.
Limbo would probably be like an R or maybe a PG.
Definitely R. It's definitely R. So so if we're doing movie references,
what's up, Max?
Hey Max, if we're doing movie references, I have PG-13 and I have R. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, sure.
And for me, PG-13 stuff, I'm an 80s kid, right? PG-13, we were watching PG-13 stuff in the 2nd and 3rd grade. So it's not really PG-13. It's but that's where we're at. So I do try to.
And by the way, that's a segment of itself, Jay. And incidentally, I love that segment. We were saying earlier, my book has a strong 80s segment in it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you grew up writing pretty much with a little bit of touch of what you loved, right? And that's where I was at with some of this stuff. So the PG-13 stuff, I don't have the foul language. I've got the the asterisk, at symbol, pound signs, when they're dropping a bomb, but it's definitely.
Oh, hey, by the way, I think that's a smart move too. I like when people use the asterisks and the swearing, and I'll tell you why. Number one, because it'll pass muster, the book can still get into a library. And then the second thing is it actually sounds dirtier with the asterisk in it. I think it's more sweary.
I agree. But there's something to be said about being able to drop an F-bomb in the right place. I'm a New Yorker, so it's really hard for me to restrain myself right here with you. Because it's an adjective, it's a verb, it's a noun, it's a pronoun, right?
Right, sure. And man, listen, thanks for sharing your opinion, because like I was saying, comics is a big tent, right? Like it includes all these different elements of ways that you can make things.
Oh yeah.
So, in my case, and we did this current one, there wasn't any swearing or anything at all. And, we were talking about target audience. This is the first time where I'm shooting the gun squarely at this YA target, right? Okay. Which in my case, it is, it's something new. You got aliens, you got Bigfoot, you got the teen girl with the radio. Hope it clicks, man. It's called The Cryptid. Visual sci-fi adventure. If you like UFOs, heavy metal, and cryptids, this is your book. And we're having a heck of a good time making it. And I will tell you that my target audience is different this time, and I'm trying a couple of different things. And some of them like coming on the air and talking to you fine folks and learning about all the better ways to do things, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if, I think we all tend to say things like, and this is a good thing. We say things like, well, hey, I really write them for me. Like, I know when I start out, I don't start out with any age demographic in mind at all. It's like whatever catches the creative muse, right? But that said, when you start to market them, whether we like it or not, we kind of have to put them into these categories. And I guess the next question that I would want to ask you, is Nathan still there?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm just making sure you're still there. Hold on, let me get your graphic, buddy. I'm going to switch tabs. I'm doing the producer on the fly. So we talked a little bit about the, that's a nice one there. Tell us about that, Nathan.
So that's the Pete Vasquez cover. And so there's a funny story with this, because I hired Pete to do this piece of art. And we had like a lot of conversations about this. Like we wanted him to look agonized and kind of angry. And Pete, like, he killed it getting that. And then so he sends me this big Bristol board image of it, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Like I wanted it black and white with just the purple of the soul showing. And then I hit Pete up and I'm like, you know what, man, I want to do this as a foil cover. And Pete goes, this is gonna be a cover?
That's badass, dude. I tell you, you know what I think is cool there? How it's like a really subtle element of color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean even the if you scroll up just a little bit, the logo for this one, like we recolored the logo just on this cover.
Right. Sure.
To match the Godslayer soul in the image. And
Nice.
we had a long conversation about that too. Like Pete's a cool guy.
Nice.
And that's our Conquerors tier, and it is $85. Boom, I got it right.
Nice. Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. So if we got any kind of like gamers, D&D people, this sounds awesome. You got to jump over there and back this project.
It's
That's
definitely a fantasy book, and I keep it pretty tame. Like in the first one, I have some visuals. He's in the Thousand Hells, and you see like a pig monster, and he's chopping up souls like a butcher, and like one of them opens its eyes, and so I have some little stuff like that, but I don't have any foul language in it. I think at the end of the second book, one of the characters says crap.
I guess we could probably deal with that. So let me ask you this, Nathan. What is the proposed? How long is this arc going to go to? It's 5 issues, 6 issues, 180. What are we doing here? Are you gonna be putting out a Kickstarter every 15 minutes like JD is?
No. I'm not yet. I mean, I'd like to make the money back on it a little bit, and I've bought a lot of art. But I definitely, so this is the first story arc, and it's 2 episodes. I call them episodes because it was supposed to be an anime, and they made up my first script. And then the next one, I'm laying out the story for it, and it's looking like it's going to be 2 or 3 issues.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like the idea of keeping my storylines down to 2, but there's a lot to tell in the next one. So,
gotcha. Well, it looks terrific, man. I definitely wish you every success. Backers,
this is
take a look.
All of our pinup covers: Greg Bo Watson's, Courtney Rose's, and Elsie Freitas's, and this is just all Bella pinups.
Gotcha. Hey, you got some quality artists there. Did I hear earlier a little bit of like an art collector too? Is that what you were saying? So,
I really like buying the art, and it's even cooler when it's your own characters. So,
yeah.
I actually like, that's one of the things that the guys talk to me about quite a bit, because if you hit my DMs and you're like, I'm an artist, I got cool art, and you have cool art, I look at it. Like, and I'll do test pages and stuff with people, and they'll be like, did you check this person out? And I'll be like, I saw their art.
That's a smart move, man. I do the test pages sometimes. You see if lightning strikes, right?
Yeah. And like I said, I was trying to work on a second title, and so I wanted to do an anime manga style book, and so I'm always looking at those styles of artists.
Yeah. Hey, and speaking of styles of artists, man, we're taking a look at the Oswald Chronicles. Again, backers, these are some high-quality projects. I definitely recommend that you check them out. And, having a chance to look at some of the black and white art, I really hadn't done that before. And so how fast is she turning these pages over?
Well, this is a different artist. This is
the other one.
Yeah, this is Aurelio Tillis. We're pretty much, I'm supposed to get 5 pages every 2 weeks from him. But it's usually about 3. It's usually about 3 weeks. I get 5 pages from, which is fine.
These are traditional pages, right? Pencil and ink.
Yeah, these are all pen. Well, he started working digitally.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, you can't tell.
Right. Even. Yeah, it looks, and I hope this sounds the right way, buddy. I mean it in the most complimentary way. It looks pencil and inky.
Right. No, I got you.
I'm not against digital, as you know. Most of my stuff anymore is digital, just because that's the way the world is now.
Oh yeah.
So I'm curious, JD, why did you decide not to go in color on the interiors?
Listen, I got a business strategy. So the way it works is this: I do limited edition black and white comics, right? Then, from the comics, you go into trade paperbacks. That's also in black and white. And then the next step is, I'll be re-releasing them in color as
Okay.
comics, and then trades, and then my final step is going into the direct market.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Small business, you got to get as many bites of the apple as you can.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
It sounds like a good strategy to me, man. I think that especially when you talk about, the great thing about the Oswald Chronicles potentially has very long legs, right? Like there's enough content to carry over into a lot of different media. I think that that's really the, and what do I know? But that's really one of the secrets to surviving the years is to have enough content. And I think that all of us, we know somebody that has, one or two good books, and then it kind of like you never hear from that person again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, with my other title, Tall Tales, Daphne and I have been selling that book for 30 years, and we just sell them, repackage them, and we just sell them all over again. And it's just, it's the type of material is, like I said, it's evergreen. So you just, you're always gonna find new people.
Yep.
I mean, I've sold tens of thousands of those books, right? But there's 7 billion people on the planet. So I still got a ways to go.
Yeah. Hey, and it's like you say, you only need one lucky break, right?
That's it.
That's it.
So we're also going to take one more look at Limbo. Man, this project looks terrific. Backers, if you'd like to see this project by Jay Rosario, it looks great. And this is one where he's the publisher, but they got a ton of great titles. And you're going to be offering those also as add-ons. Is that how that works?
Definitely, right? My catalog is my secret weapon.
Yeah.
And like Aaron was saying in the comments, he's not a superhero fan. A lot of our books are superhero books. But in trying to answer your question from earlier, Timothy, right? We are looking to fill those gaps in the things we're not producing. And that's where this dark fantasy Limbo comes in. I like it because it's not something I would have done. So finding it and bringing it into our umbrella of other titles makes me feel like a very caring uncle. It's not my baby, but I will take care of it and cherish it as if it's part of my family.
And I got to tell you, it looks terrific, Jay. And I definitely
I love it. And there are still people that have worked on the book that I have collaborated with before. So if we look at cover D, that's illustrated by Carlos Granda, and he's done a ton of work with me over the years. He's done cards, posters, shirt designs, other covers for the books. So he's still involved. There's that synergy there. The colorist of the series, Champion Ramirez, he's the one that brought me the title because he has done other coloring work for me in the past. It's still part of my, I don't want to say legacy tree, but it comes to
well, hey man, you're the publisher. It's a lot of responsibility, right? Did we hear from you? How long did you, because most of these questions are about the audience in some way. How did you, when you did your Kickstarter build-up, your pre-launch, how many days did you go?
It took me, I want to say a solid 2 weeks just to lay the foundation because, I can't dedicate a full 8 hours a day to building it, right? Maybe an hour or two a night. And then once I've laid it down, just like any script that you're writing, I give it a second pass and a third pass. Make sure my terminology is right because I don't want to say I'm giving away too much for free and stuff like that.
Yeah. Sure.
So like even with the next book we got coming out, it's taking me a little bit of time while I'm spinning all the other plates that I'm spinning. Timothy,
I started using your word. I use that on all the shows now. We're all plate spinners, man. We're all plate spinners.
And it's funny. I thought I was going to have an easier time publishing a new title because they've laid down the groundwork, right? And I'm already using the experiences I've had with self-publishing all these other years, and I thought it would have gone hand in hand. Man, I found out that is not the case. I'm spinning a ton of brand new plates. There we go. He loves cover D. Gabriel is the writer on the series.
It's a beautiful.
I'm spinning a ton of new plates that I have to learn on how to keep them spinning, and I'm just like, holy, whoa, but I'm still having fun doing it, right? I still got a full head of hair.
Well, and your product looks great, and at the end of the day,
a great book, yeah, man.
Yeah, I love to. And by the way, I see a lot of books, man. So it's like I try to, when possible, I try to gravitate toward other high quality creators, and I think you got a great project there.
No, that's how we learn. I look at other projects that are out there. I'm like, oh, I like how they achieved this. This is a new concept that maybe I can introduce. Calderon, and he knows. We talk about this, how the sausage is made all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and even, it's funny we joke about this, but now the three of us see each other pretty regularly on this podcast circuit, which it turns out there is one. If you would have told me 6 months ago that we'd be doing this, I'd have been surprised by that.
And again, that's one more plate to spin, right? I'm spending at least 5 to 6 hours a week just doing different live streams because you have to.
And we're going to come back to that. We got one more round of questions. And by the way, tonight we can go a little extra if you guys have time.
Yeah, we got time.
I wasn't rushing you, but so we could go another 20 minutes probably. But you guys mentioned black and white. I'm trying to shout this out as much as I can. One of the things that we did this time, which is an interesting way to try and connect with our target audience, in this case, comic book collectors or collectors that might be familiar with the Marvel black and white horror books of the 1970s. Some people call those the Kurtis books. Those are titles like, well, the big ones, right, are Eerie, Creepy, Vampirella. And of course, to a lesser extent, there was Marvel Premiere, and there was any of those types of books that had the old monsters in them. And so we had the idea, hey, let's release this black and white book. And I'd always wanted to do it because my partner, Erwin, has just these fantastic black and white gray tones in his artwork, and it really feels kind of like one of those old magazines, right? And we're even going to print it on like the paper that makes it look like that. And the only splash of color that we did on the thing, it's going to have this sort of radioactive green chrome logo on the front to make it jump out from the others. And I believe this one also will be numbered, and it's like the limited one, right?
Very nice.
So yeah, man, we're real excited about that one. And that's something where, again, you try and reach that target audience. Like one of mine is, in this next go round, we're going to talk about your mailing list. Okay. So I'll be ready with the mailing list answer. But in my case, I will admit to you, mine's very small. I have not done a very good job with my mailing list. I got about maybe a 500 people, maybe 600, but it's tight. Most of them buy stuff, and I get something like a 40% open rate on my email sends.
That's amazing.
That's good.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
And the amount, and by the way, I see all their names come. They're buyers, but it's easy to take care of a little number, right? So let's quick ask that question about mailing lists as we go around. It's just one more way to connect with the audience. Nathan, do you use a mailing list?
I have a very small mailing list of people who supported Godslayer's episode 1.
Great.
And signed up for the mailing list. And I think it's 63 people.
Okay. Hey man.
That I sent out my announcement for Godslayer's episode 2 because they signed up after Godslayer's episode.
I bet you if you looked at the closing rate on your people that, like how many bought from that, I bet you it's super high.
And I have no idea. I've only started learning about the analytics on there.
Yeah. Well, and it's like as Jay would say, pretty soon that's one more thing. Hey, now I'm the guy that studies the analytics in the MailChimp report. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Let's see. JD, how about you? Are you mailing? I know you have mailing list because I'm on it.
Yeah, yeah, we have a mailing list. I think we're about up to almost up to 700 on that list. We've been building it for a minute. But I think our open rate is about 38%.
Dude, that's strong. What that means is that people are reading your stuff because, you hear people say, hey, I got 15,000, you got 20,000, but they got like a 2% open rate on these darn campaigns. It's it's full of spam is what it is. That's why you got to scrub your list now and then.
Yeah. They always tell you, it says you got to look at it and look at the rate. And then, like you said, scrub it out.
Yeah. Jay, how about you? How many do you have and where'd you get them?
All right. So I've had 3 different mailing lists before. I forgot.
What do you mean you had 3 different ones?
I was using 3 different platforms.
Oh.
I believe the first one I used was called Ask Annie or something like that years ago.
Mhm.
That just the spam on there was just like, ugh, so I had to restart. We went with Constant Contact, and I built up a mailing list of almost 4,000 people. Awesome, great, but I had too many strikes against me on that. Right, too many challenges for spam and people saying we didn't sign up for this newsletter, so the account was suspended, and I got pissed off because they were all legitimate. One of the things we do at conventions is we give away a free book to get people to sign up for the newsletter, whether it was digital or in print. So people were handwriting emails. Now, could it have been their cousins or their friends or something just so they get the free book? Probably. I'm not going to say no to that. But again, I felt they were all legitimate. Everything was hand entered because I try to avoid that. Put the link up there so people could sign up for the newsletter spam fill up. But then with those strikes, I was like, God damn it. So I got pissed off and I never saved a master list from there. But it kind of works because if those were saved, how many of those would have been striking me on the new thing? I'm on MailChimp. And now on MailChimp, I'm at almost 500, more like 420, 430. Whatchamacallit. So I'm using there, but my open rate is maybe 12 to 15%.
Yeah, probably got to scrub that out. That sounds a little low.
Yeah.
And hey, you made a great point too. And I will just, and if anybody has a different impression, please chime in. But I had done before one of these campaigns where it was a free book giveaway, and it's an email builder list is what it is. And you get names and you can use it to sort of pre-populate a Kickstarter campaign.
Right.
However, the catch is once you get the names, because essentially what you do is you get one great big spammy list of names and you try and import it into a MailChimp list.
Right.
And MailChimp, you're against the terms because you didn't get them. You can't do it that way. Like it gets flagged on all the spam things. So I didn't have any success with that. If anybody's got a better way, I'm all ears.
Yeah, I think I used that as well. We didn't use, what's funny is we used another platform to send out those emails. And then for the ones that agreed, we imported those into MailChimp.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what I did on my last 3 campaigns, I'm asking people on the survey to the Kickstarter if you would like that. And then I am screenshotting the page and I am saving that information just in case there is a challenge later on. They said yes, because I have to directly input that into the MailChimp.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I do the same thing. I've done probably for the last 3 or 4 campaigns. I've done the same. I don't screenshot them. I just figure, we're all adults. I'm not quite that paranoid.
I'm saving all of that shit, dude. I got to protect my neck now.
Yep.
I don't want to get up to 4,000 again and just be like, nope. Oh, you're suspended.
Oh,
right. Well, and there's, like you were saying, there's so many elements that can suspend you. It's not, all the ways that make it easy are all against the terms.
Yeah.
You got to do it as near as I can tell. You got to do it the old-fashioned way, which is by building it with your campaigns. And that's, Jay, I did it the same way. Mine is just the cumulative Kickstarter campaigns. I might get 1 or 2 or 3 at some cons, but I've never had, and I'm pretty interactive guy at cons. I talk to a lot of customers and this and that, but I haven't had it'd probably be smart to have a little station and say, hey, you sign up to the mailing list and you get this free thing.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was thinking about doing, I've bought a number of iPads over the years, right? So there's a couple of tablets that they can be used as a beater, but as long as they're taken, as long as they can utilize Wi-Fi, then I got no problem with people inputting it themselves.
Right.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
At a convention on the tablet. And then, hey, here you go. Here's your first book.
Gotcha. All right, I got one more question for you, which is audience-based, and I have just started this. So again, like all things, don't hear Tim thinks he's the expert of this. I'm always want to try new things. Have you heard about this thing where Do you know a letterer and creator by the name of SK?
Yeah.
Yeah, good guy, right? He's an Australian fella.
I've been on a show with him.
Yeah. He gave me the tip too. He said, because I don't want to take credit for this. He said, hey, you know what you should do, man? He said, and he said some real nice words to me along the lines of, hey, you really put out a number of books. You have enough of a library where this will work, because you got to have a few titles. He said, what you should do is you should call libraries and tell them, hey, I'm this graphic novel writer. Do you guys do any kind of seminars or workshops with creators? Something probably not too different than what we're doing right here. Mm-hmm. And what they do is they bring you in to host these little events, and then they will start carrying your books. And anyway, from talking to SK, this is all he does. Like now he calls one library a day, and he has so many that when he has a new Kickstarter, he'll have 200 just from his library contacts. So I said, oh man, that sounds all too good to be true. You know, I'll give it a try, but I certainly don't have the hopes that it would do that, you know? Mm. So man, I get on the phone. The first one I called down here to the local York place. No, absolutely not. She says, forget it. All right. Okay, great. Let me try the next one. Next one, I crafted a little better email. This time it's got some graphics, right? Makes me look like a pro. Got some book titles in there, blah, blah, blah. I'm this high-powered writer. Send it off. She goes, hey, wow, this is great. We're getting ready to have this seminar here. It's called A Day in the Life of. Last week, we had a day in the life of an architect. We had a day in the life of the landscaper. All these kids come and they watch these presentations. They're fascinated by it. We had the architect here. There was 20 people. Wow, sounds great. I said, hey, think of anybody interested in a day in the life of a comic creator? I'll show them the 6 steps of how you make a comic, which is something we do on Kickstarter. She says, hey, let me ask my boss. We'll see. 2 days go by. She calls me back. Hey, listen, they love the idea. We want to do this in 2 libraries. There's so much interest. We're going to rent out the church next door. We're expecting to have, 40 kids at the first one. And then the next one is the neighboring city over. All right, great. I'll do it, I said. That's May 8th, and there's 2 dates. Okay, great. Hey, thanks so much, Amber. She's terrific to work with. I can't wait. She's like, hey, maybe we can work some out with stock in your book. Ha ha. Right? Right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And of course, and I love to meet kids and do stuff for the community too. So like, I'll hate this and this. And hey, I do this for the Kickstarter. For me, it's just this little class of how you make a comic. Then, maybe another day goes by and another 2. Hey, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm the coworker of Amber. She calls me up from the one that turned me down the first time. And she said, hey, I heard you're doing these workshops. Will you come over, and we're doing a Star Wars Galactic Voyage in Creation thing over the Free Comic Book Day, May the 4th, or May the whatever the day is. Right. And kids will come in, and you will it'll be various kinds of activities. You see, it'll be like, if it's younger kids, they'll be coloring. If it's older kids, they'll be learning to draw. If there's somebody who wants to write, I'll be talking to them about writing, and it'll be like proctoring the event kind of. Uh-huh. And I'm even going to have a couple little collectibles and things to give out to some of the kids, right? So here in the space of 2 weeks, that's 3 libraries I'm going to be doing these appearances at.
Nice.
And by the way, I'm not saying for sure this is going to work. Somebody told me to give it a try, and it's one of the ways to potentially build my customer base. And it's like I say, it's all about the audience. How are we going to reach them? And my thing is, I'm going to go to libraries, and I'm going to start talking to some of these kids about, hey, why comics are cool, and do you like robots? Should be fine.
Yeah, nice.
So I wanted to share that with you. Oh, let's jump over to Nathan. I want to ask a question. So we talked about, you had roughly 2 weeks to get ready for your Kickstarter, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Do you remember how many followers did you get in 2 weeks?
Oh man, it was 43, 40.
Okay, not bad.
43.
Yeah, that's pretty respectable. And how about, did you, and maybe you don't know off this at the top of your head, but do you know your conversion rate? I'm going to ask some technical questions of what there's a dashboard in Kickstarter.
Right.
And Yeah.
So, when you asked me that about the mailing list, I got 15 backers from like my 63 that I sent out.
Damn, that's good.
So, and then, following my project, I was actually looking at that the other day. I'm trying to do this on my phone because otherwise I have to open another window.
Yeah, I got you, man. Here, let me put.
I think I have.
I'll put you up on the screen here real quick. Oh, wait, it's not that one. It's this one. There we go. I'm still getting used to this, JD. Cut me a little slack.
It's usually Jay that gives me a hard time over it.
I give him a hard time because he's
Oh.
been doing this longer than any of us.
Yeah.
They tease me that I do all my work from a potato. I'm so terrible at this.
That's great.
So on there I have, where is that?
I'm going to show your Simpsons image. I think that's awesome.
That's Fern Cord from Atrocity Press too.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
He did the Godslayer's character Simpsons mashup for me.
That's very cool, man.
Yeah.
Viewers, if you're watching, that's Godslayers. That's over on Kickstarter right now. You should probably stop what you're doing and rush right over there and buy one.
So I have 107 project followers.
Nice. And does it show your percentage?
And my conversion rate is 12%.
Gotcha. That's it's always good to have some followers, and I always want to try and learn more about there's two speeds, right? Let's do this, and then we're going to land on JD for this question. Some people get tons and tons of followers, but then they don't necessarily convert that many, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some people have less backers, but they're more fervent. All the people back it. Do you think there's a preferred method, JD?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean,
I think I might take the smaller number with the higher percentage of buyers.
Right. Because the thing is like, even though, I would probably say the same thing, because they may be watching you now, they may be indecisive, but come the future, they may come in and buy.
Right.
And the larger number, the more you have in there, the more potential you have for bigger numbers.
And a lot of that has to do probably with how many projects you've done and how trusted you are and that stuff,
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, I'm looking at a couple of my campaigns. I think my current conversion rate, I think, is 16% on 116 backers. And then I'm looking at some older ones. Yeah, conversion looks to be about 26% total.
Gotcha.
That's good.
Gotcha.
That's a good number.
That is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
So I just went and checked some of the other campaigns.
You're down to the hour amount now, huh? Within the 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days left. Yep.
3 days left.
So viewers, if you're checking this one out, this looks like a terrific book too. I've seen some of the work and it's incredible. The pages are just really lovely. Definitely recommend checking that out. Call to action. Go right now and buy it. That's the Oswald Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
So JD, how about you? If you had the choice between either you could have this huge mailing list, but it doesn't convert very strong, or sort of like a small, I guess you'd call it a cult following, but maybe the percentage of buying is high, which would you rather have?
The smaller font, because the thing is, it's funny. I equate it also to like YouTube, right? My channel, I only have 300 and so many watchers or followers or whatever, but we do convert people over to buy from people's campaigns, and we had a couple of people come on and they would tell us, it says I've seen my campaign jump 10% by being on my show, right? We have a tiny audience, but the audience is engaged and the audience is buying, right? So I think that's what's more important, right? Because you could go on a massive show where they have 2 million followers and get 3 backers on it, right?
Yep.
So I mean, it's more of the quality of backer rather than the quantity, and I think that's what it requires. It's more quality backers. Yeah,
good answer. Quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay, how about you? If you have you already have kind of a cult following, don't you?
Just like Calderon, I've got about a 23% conversion rate on my previous Kickstarters. Right now, we've got 198 followers, 20% conversion rate. So that's only 40 backers came from that conversion. But we usually we usually end up around 23%. I think that's the norm for a lot of people too.
Mhm.
And then my Kickstarter, definitely, I'd rather have that smaller, fervent, fan base.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that'll carry you. They'll stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always a huge fan of when the customers and backers are really following the project, and they can like do some of the quotes, and like, they're engaging with the stuff. How's the t-shirt selling, Jay?
Okay, you know what? It's worked as more of an add-on than it has in the specific tier. So I guess that means some people are liking the way other tiers are built, and just they also want the shirt too, rather than the shirt to add on other elements. So we've moved about 9 different shirts.
Oh,
Okay.
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not doing a massive bulk printing. We are doing print on demand with the shirt, so they're going to cost us about $17 for a full color shirt. But they're all going to be paid for, so there's no problem with that.
Good deal. Good deal. I actually have a bunch of in the coming weeks. I want to talk to you again because I have a bunch of questions prepared about merch.
Yeah, man. Let's rock and
that,
roll, brother.
yeah. You guys are doing great on these questions, by the way. The last one, which is in my case, is right now it's 135 followers. Again, I hope that'd be a little higher. 26% conversion. Again, I hope that'd be higher too. Imagine that, a guy who looks at numbers and said, I wanted them to be higher. I'm predictable. But I will show you, that's a look at our holofoil cover. That's by, I'm going to try and say his name. He's an Italian fella. He's Massimiliano Veltri. And his artwork's just terrific. And that one will be on holofoil, and it'll look super
nice.
Yeah.
Shimmery and weird. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Really digging the opportunity of meeting and working with some of these great artists on this project. So guys, we're just about out of time. So what I'd like to do once more, we'll go around the room. I'll get your project up on the air. We should be able to see Godslayers right now. Can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
There you go.
So Nathan, tell us just once more about who will like Godslayers, and tell us that target audience. They're out there. They're waiting to buy this book. Man, tell us about it.
If you're a fan of fantasy role-playing games, fantasy stories, great art, animation, or anime, Godslayers is right up your alley.
It looks terrific, man, and really, I wish you every success with it, Nathan. All right, next up, my pal JD. I love this book. Tell us a little bit about who will love this book. Which audience?
Well, if we're just talking about straight up audiences, I would say if you enjoy Secret of Nim, if you enjoy Mouse Guard, Fables, Unwritten, something along the lines of like Sandman, that sort of thing, I think you might want to. Yeah, I think you may enjoy this sort of thing. So, fantasy, urban fantasy, and it's about a mouse's lifetime and how he becomes the greatest sorcerer of our time. So.
Nice. Well, I will tell you that book looks terrific, and I like all those things that you mentioned. So I would be in your target audience, sir.
Thank you.
Let's jump over to Jay. We'll take a look at Limbo. Tell us real quick, Jay. Congratulations on the Kickstarter campaign going so great. And tell us who the audience is. Who's going to love this book? It looks fantastic.
Yeah, well, anybody who likes dark fantasies, anybody who's into the mythology of hell and the underworld, anybody who's interested in a fish out of water story, where a regular human is in charge of a whole bunch of demons. He doesn't know whether to drink with them or let them cut his neck. That's where we're at right now.
It looks great, man. Looks great.
Thanks.
Backers, go check that out. We'll take one more final look at Tim's, which is we're chugging along. I'm there at 93.
Nice.
So that's Call of the Cryptid. This one is based on the target audience who would love aliens, UFOs, cryptids, and heavy metal. If you like TV shows like The X-Files, if you like The Matrix, if you like sort of offbeat sci-fi that has sort of some unusual story twists and some weird artwork, come on and check it out. I promise you it's going to be fun. It'll be one of the most beautiful books of this year. I promise you it's going to be a thrill ride. So unfortunately, that's all the time we got for tonight. You guys did terrific answering the questions, and it was nice to meet you finally, Nathan.
It was nice meeting you too, man.
So thanks once again for everybody for coming over. And other than that, we will see you next week on the Creative Cranium. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.